the last thing that is the most important thing, your hose. She was your hoe. Never let women know these things when betting, and never tell women these things. This is a warning to you men, because nowadays we are operating more in a mental state, and we do not know how women are going to analyze us when we tell them our past and how we act. Your actions tell her more about you. Number one, your self-concept and your self-esteem. Okay, how does that has anything to do with women knowing? It's more of how you identify yourself, how you identify reality, because how you identify yourself confirms how you identify her. Like, if you identify yourself and you show her, or you tell her either passively, okay, that my existence is only valuable when I provide and I do this, then you are telling her or communicating to her that this relationship only exists because I am providing. But when you let her know that you know your value, you are doing what you are doing, you are providing, but it's not a guarantee, she is going to respect you. When it's a guarantee, she knows where you stand. She's going to exit. You're not fulfilling SMV, you are a lot of value, and that is what she thinks, even when she doesn't tell you that that is what she thinks. If you can get what you can get, but it doesn't define your SMV, then you are the guy who stands out. And you're not telling her that what you provide is your value, and that is the guy women admire. Why? We are so attached to things that don't make sense, and when those things don't exist, we don't see your value as a man. We are so attached to what you give in a relationship, because I value you for you have been providing these consistently. So I don't genuinely value, I value what you provide. And when I don't see no more of what you provide, I don't see your value. But I knew you saw yourself in this lens, because every time I acted in a certain way, you provided. Every time you came home, you came with this. So I have a specific pattern, memory about you through this value, but I don't identify you by your male figure. And now we tell women by what we give them. When we make her or cause her feel entitled to what we provide, we are telling them who we are. So what we give you is what makes us as men valuable, but it's not who we are as a human being. That is the number one thing. You can tell by what you are doing and how you have structured yourself, how you have been operating when around her. Do you always do a certain thing for her and she has that memory? You are fucked, my friend. When you will stop doing what you have been doing, the love on a condition will fade away. When you provide because you can provide, but it doesn't communicate your value, because sometimes you don't provide because you don't have, and even when you have, it's not a must to give. That generates genuine desire and genuine care from a woman, and that is what fulfills the hypergamy feeling that we are not aware of. Number two, what we don't talk about. These are the things that we don't focus on, we don't talk about, and we often assume. Number two is the passive aggressive behavior. Never tell women or show women your passive aggressive behavior. Why? She already knows how to test you internally, and she knows where to hit. Your passive aggressive will equal to weakness. She acted in a certain way that is disrespectful, but you reacted in a certain way aggressively. That is weakness, and she knows where to hit you consistently because she is being influenced by the thought, and her psychology tells her that when he reacts this way, then I got him emotionally. If I got him emotionally, he will have more memories of the emotions, and he will want to experience the dopamine. So later on, I will give him pleasure. So if I will give him pleasure, he will forget about the emotions, and now his body, it's in a war feeling because I am controlling him and he is so weak. So I can start chaos and drama whenever I want because I control him. And this is when you are totally fucked. A passive character is when a woman disrespects you, then you decide to go numb. You just keep quiet. You don't respond passively, maybe in a very disappointed manner. I'm so disappointed that Hannah said this or acted this. But I'm not going to tell her. She's so mature, I'm not going to tell her. That is the passive character. Passivity belongs to women. When she acts in a manner that you don't like, you don't show her that you are a passive, and you don't act in an aggressive way. Because the moment you react aggressively or you react in a passive manner, then she has control of your reality because she is controlling your psychology. She knows that when I act this way, psychologically, he will behave and he will act or he will respond this way because he is in his emotions and he is not acting in a soberly manner. So I can control him when he is in his emotions and I have power over him. So you don't tell women you're passive and you're aggressive character. Rather, you act. You can even take your time. Later on, you tell her you don't like the shit that is happening. And you're not going to entertain her. The second time you give her the last warning, the third time you walk away, she walk away. Because that is your reality and it's not her reality. Doing that, you are creating your own reality and you're not living in her reality. When you act in a passive aggressive way, you are living in a woman's reality, and that equals to manipulation and control. What is the middle ground of a passive aggressive character? Assertiveness. You can understand that makes sense to her, but it doesn't need to make sense to you because that is her own reality. That is what is. That is not your reality. And she needs to be mature enough to identify that. Together, the last thing that is the most important thing, your hose. She was your hoe. She was your ex. Every time, Isaac, you have a relationship with Hannah, it's not your relationship. It is hers and yours. It's not, again, it's not your relationship. So this is the relationship that both of you have created, and this relationship only exists because she exists and you exist. The moment she removes herself, then the moment Hannah decides to remove herself from a relationship, you remain with an energy because her energy and your energy makes a relationship. And when she removes herself, you remain with an energy, a feeling, a void, an empty space. And when she removes herself, she is not removing herself because you are the problem. She is removing herself because she doesn't want. She doesn't want a relationship. So most men think that when a woman removes herself, then this is a confirmation that she is removing herself from him. Are you getting my point? She is removing herself from him. No, she is removing herself from this relationship. Okay? So you understand now that both of you create a relationship. And this is the relationship that exists. Now, when you say anything about your past, when you tell her about your exes, so you decide to open to Hannah and tell her about your past, she won't perceive you as someone she had perceived in the front and in the middle end game. Any conversation towards Hannah about your past, it is changing how she had perceived you in the front and in the middle end game. And when this changes, now it changes how she perceives what? A relationship. So any conversation about your past, it has an impact on your relationship, because your relationship is going to be analyzed by Hannah psychologically. Okay? And this psychology analyzation has to make sense when she compares how she perceives you at this very moment to the front end and middle end game. But when there is a mismatch of your conversation logically, because you are going to communicate to Hannah in a logic state. So when your conversation logically is about your ex and it is negative, then it is a confirmation that psychologically your ex never pre-selected you. And this alone is a confirmation that both of you are in a relationship. Both of you are in a relationship because you are relying on her. And you are not good enough to just be selected by your ex. But if you are the one who walked away from your ex, then your ex already pre-selected you. Now, you don't need to talk about or lie, because in the near future you will contradict yourself, for the logic won't match with her psychology. Now, talking about your past will only cause that relationship to be in a state of limbo. Like, it's not fully decided by Hannah. And you will be judged on a low SMV, because she will be comparing you to a different guy who is who? Johnny. And once she compares you to Johnny, you will always have a problem. You can never be the same as Johnny. But she is only doing this to analyze if who you really are is who you are. For you are always talking about your exes and how you operate. Now she is determining your actions with Johnny. If she behaves in a certain way, will you respond in a specific manner now that your ex pre-selected you? Because maybe you lied that you are the one who walked away from your ex. Now she is comparing your character with Johnny's character to understand Johnny maybe will ignore me when I act in a specific way. You talked about your ex and walking away from your ex, but when I act the same way, you try a little bit hard, and this has an impact on our relationship because she will analyze you psychologically. And she's not understanding how your conversation about your ex makes sense, and at this very moment she prefers who? Johnny. Because Johnny in the front end game and in the middle end game has identified, rather has confirmed that he can fulfill hypergamy. Hypergamy is when you don't need to lie or talk about your ex to confirm pre-selection. It's just a feeling and an energy that she will receive towards your conversations. And the more you talk about your past, the more you fail hypergamy. And these analyzations are not logic. Even when you love her, you give her gifts, you take her out on a date. Logically, it's love to you. But psychologically, she understands it as you are weak and you're trying to prove your value so that she cannot rate you as low SMV, which now brings you to being identified as a different weak Isaac and not a strong Isaac. And this is what I'm trying to tell men, to stop telling women about their past. This is something that will later on cause Hannah to understand you differently, because she is being influenced and controlled by thought. She is the thinker, but the thinker is the thought, and the thought has to make sense psychologically. And when it doesn't make sense psychologically, then she convinces herself that it's not making sense logically. But when it makes sense psychologically, then everything makes sense logically. Because that is how she perceives her reality, and that is how she creates her reality, and there is nothing you can do about it. So don't tell women about your past. It has no place in the relationship. And this is something that you just need to be aware of. Maybe one day you did something nasty in the past. You paid for a one-night stand. You paid for that prostitute. And maybe she's not a prostitute. I don't know, but maybe, you can call her the way you want to call her, but I don't want us to identify things by the word, right? She was just an object that who was there and then you paid for that. My friend, when you dare tell her, when you try to tell her, I have had scenarios of someone talking about his past, how he used to pay for sex, and he's conversing with his wife, his girlfriend, and it all escalated so bad because women see the world by the words. Even when you lie, she's going to analyze you psychologically. Okay, so he is so low value, he's so weak. No one really wanted him. It doesn't matter if you are not ready or you are not willing to date. She knows you are always dealing with prostitutes, and that makes you one. Okay, it's not about you not wanting to date. It's more of that is what defines you. That is how she will analyze you, and it has nothing to do with your present, but she will make it have something to do with your present, and there is nothing you can do about that because she already put you in a specific frame that you belong. Even when you don't belong there, she believes that you belong there. It equals to analyzation always. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with her. How she sees reality, how she analyzes reality, and how she creates her own reality. And she creates her own reality through the words. But we all know the words has no meaning. That was supposed to be your experience in the past. Is not the reality. Is not a fact. It was just a phase that you needed to experience to know more. And you are supposed to keep quiet. Don't live in your memory. The moment you talk about your memory, now you will be consistently living in your memory because every time you will have a disagreement, she will talk about your ex or your hoe. I don't care. They get so attached, rather we get so attached to words because we see the world by the words, and there is nothing you can do about that. Are we together? Welcome on board.